Kitimu nnyo twagala buterevu Kajjangu Moses tujja tandikirawo tetuyinza kusubwa bigambo bya mukulembeze wa ggwanga ate nga bibya tulese wano control twagala tuwo mukulu ngayogera eri eggwanga lya Uganda biki bye tuliko olwalero.
Whether it could go through other soft parts of the body, but scientists have told me that it only goes for the soft parts on the face, the nose, the eyes, and the mouth. It only goes through the soft parts of the human face mentioned above. 3, although the healthy people afflicted may survive, although the healthy people attacked by this virus may survive, it can kill a lot of people that already have other medical conditions, such as AIDS, blood pressure, I'm told even pregnancy, somebody mentioned, diabetes, sickle cells, cancer, the elderly, etc. In China, its cure rate was 4%. However, in Italy, it is now 11%. In kills, and in Spain, young people in some cases, the kill rate, like the young doctor, is now 8.4%. Li Wenliang of Wuhan in China, who first identified this problem. The young people in some cases was only 33. Like the young doctor, 33 years old. Given its spread methods, sneezing and coughing by an inconsiderate and careless person in a cluster of people bunched together, as well as an individual's own carelessness of touching the soft parts of your body, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, without washing your hands or sanitizing them first. After careful study, we decided that this virus will spread fastest if it gets into large concentrations of people, some of whom may be behaving inconsiderately or carelessly as stated above. What I'm saying here is that this virus would not amount to much if people were not careless. This is my conclusion. I have interrogated these scientists, and this is my conclusion. This virus would not do much damage if it was not the carelessness of people. Don't go into a group of people if you have a cold. Stay at home. Because you don't know what that cold is about. And you don't get near somebody who has got a cold during this time of this trouble. But thirdly, do not touch your face carelessly. That's all. There's nothing else about the virus. However, but because people are careless, that's how it becomes a big problem. And because of that, knowing that many people don't bother, we therefore, and we knew that if it gets into big groups, it will spread like wildfire into concentrated human groups. We therefore adopted the strategy of dispersing any concentration that may provide fuel to this virus. In my address of the 18th of March 2020, I put out 13 actions that dealt with this problem in part, as well as other associated matters. The 13 measures announced then were: close all the education institutions which accounted for 15 million Ugandans. Those ones were closed. Well, those were were big groups waiting to be infected because there are so many, and many of them are carefree. So we knew this was a very dangerous entry point. 2, we suspended communal prayers in mosques, churches, or in stadia and other open-air venues. I'm very glad the religious leaders also agreed that God was in all places, omnipotent, omnipresent, that we can pray at home. So we dispersed the prayer groups. We stopped all public political rallies, cultural gatherings, or conferences. Number 4, we banned Ugandans from moving to or through Category 1 countries that had had large number of corona cases by that time. Number 5, we allowed returning Ugandans, provided they underwent mandatory quarantine at their own cost for 14 days at a venue identified by the Ministry of Health. Number 6, we allowed the non-agricultural gathering points to continue, but with SOPs, standing operating procedures, put out by the Ministry of Health. And these gathering points were factories, hotels, large plantations, markets, tax parks, etc. Number 7, we discouraged the hexagonal, I've called it hexagonal because it is 6-sided, hexagonal, extravagant, Ugandan-style weddings. However, we said if you are in a hurry, we encourage the couples to go for the scientific weddings by the actual stakeholders, accompanied by a few people, not more than 10. We said God would definitely receive you. You didn't need a whole crowd to accompany you into holy matrimony. What was crucial was the bridegroom, the bride, the best man. I don't know whether he's mandatory or optional. The other one is what's called matron, and the priest. That's all you need. And the matrimony will be done. Number 8, burials could not be postponed, but it should be for a few people, the immediately concerned homestead. Number 9, with the 33 million farmers, according to the census of 2014, there was no problem because they are dispersed in their farms, plantations, etc. The only issues to deal with here were the monthly or weekly cattle auction markets, Ebukomera, and Obutare, weekly food markets. These were suspended. The Ebukomera were suspended, and so were the Obutare. The Obutare are the weekly food markets. Ebukomera are the monthly cattle auction markets. They are suspended, those ones. Number 10, at that time, we thought that we could continue with the public transport systems of buses, minibuses, taxis, boda-bodas, etc., provided they were given special standing operational procedures. They were given rules of do's and don'ts. 11, the discos, the dances, the bars, the sports events, the music shows, the cinemas, and the concerts were all suspended. Number 12 was hygiene and enlightened behaviors, as opposed to chikafiri ones, of not coughing or sneezing in public, no spitting, washing with soap and water, or using sanitizers, regularly disinfecting surfaces such as tables, door handles, etc., and not touching your eyes, your nose, or your mouth with contaminated and unwashed hands. And number 13, we ended with nutrition, strengthen the body defense system. These were the 13 points which I announced on the 18th of March. We quickly, however, learned that some of the actors were not obeying these measures, and that, for instance, the returnees from abroad, from the high-risk countries, were escaping from the quarantine even when it was mandatory. The ones in self-quarantine were also escaping, e.g. the Chinese that were arrested on the Congo border in Zombo, or the returnee from Kisumu, that is the father of the Iganga baby that turned out positive, that went into hiding. These gaps could cause us serious problems. These gaps were undermining the strategy of denying the virus the fuel that it could ignite and sustain its expansion by ensuring that there is no matchbox and there is no dry grass, no virus, and no concentrated masses of Ugandans. Therefore, on the 21st of March 2020, on the 41st anniversary of the Battle of Lugando, I announced two new additional measures. One, stopped all passengers coming into Uganda by air, land, or water. This affected incoming planes, buses, taxis, or boats. Number two, we also prohibited from entry into Uganda the pedestrians or people on bicycles that were coming from the neighboring countries. In all these measures, we were careful to clearly state that cargo planes and cargo vehicles within Uganda and between Uganda and the outside world should continue with only the crews for the aircrafts and the 3 persons per cargo vehicle. So cargo must continue. Cargo, emigugu, mizigo, lazima hiyo iendelee. Then on the 21st of March 2020, we announced additional measures as follows. That was later than the 21st. There must be some correction here. On a later date than 21st, we announced additional measures as follows. All public passenger transport vehicles are stopped, and those were taxis, coasters, buses, passenger trains, tuk-tuks, the tricycles, and border borders. Secondly, in order to scale down the numbers of the population in the markets, we announced that only food sellers should remain in the markets. The non-food sellers should suspend their activities. However, that time we said private vehicles could continue, but with only 3 people maximum per vehicle. However, ambulances, army vehicles, garbage collection vehicles, etc. would continue. Since that time, we have been monitoring the situation. It was good we took all these measures. However, there are still windows through which the virus can continue to spread. As of today, the 30th of March 2020, 31 Ugandans and 2 Chinese have been confirmed as being positive with the virus. Almost all of them are imported cases by Ugandans returning from mainly Dubai, UAE, but also from Europe, the USA, and Afghanistan. Only 3 are the ones that received it from the importers. These 3 are the wife and daughter of the Masaka man and the baby from Iganga, whose father had returned from Kisumu in Kenya. Out of the 33, the number of 8 were intercepted at Entebbe, in the quarantine, or even at the airport, like the case number 1, who was detected by the temperature monitor, and another 7 that were first identified by the temperature monitoring system. This means that 14 out of the 33 had already entered the city. They had already come in the compound. And some had even entered into the house, since we did not detect them at the entrance, or they escaped from the quarantine holding ground. How many other Ugandans did they interact closely with the possibility of infecting them? That is what we need to discover, and we need to do it soonest. It is good that those who start feeling the symptoms report themselves, like the case from Hoima did. However, this disease has 2 characteristics that make work of fighting it tedious and quite challenging, and need maximum vigilance. One characteristic is that some of the infected people may not feel sick and may not even know that they are infected. Yet, they will continue spreading the disease, of course, through the carelessness of the general population of, for instance, polluting surfaces and touching oneself in the soft parts of one's body, which I've already mentioned, the eyes, the nose and the mouth, and sitting very close to one another, even if the infected person is not coughing. After further careful analysis, we have come to the conclusion that to be on the safe side, it is better we err on the side of caution, we make a mistake on the side of caution, than to wait for a possible situation like of some countries where 1,000 people are dying per day from this disease. The second characteristic of this virus is that those that are infected, even when they survive, they take long in hospital. In China, one case took two months. This has caused the filling up of all the hospital places, even in the countries with advanced medical systems, until a situation where the medical authorities have to decide on who should be allowed to die and who should not, because they have nowhere to put them in the hospital. Therefore, with these cases that entered in the house, we should not wait for that situation to develop. Incidentally, we now have under quarantine a total of 839 persons. Even those that are alleged to have escaped from the quarantine have all come back. How many people had they interacted with, and how careless are they with the sitting close to one another and with the carelessly touching their soft parts? We don't know. We therefore think that there is less risk in taking the risk of the bitter medicine of maximum restrictions for a limited time than gambling by assuming that the pollution, the contamination was limited when we are not absolutely sure. Since we started this campaign of sensitization, if everybody listened by not coughing and sneezing near other people, by not sitting too close to one another when the infected person has got no symptoms, and by not carelessly touching oneself in the soft parts, and by not shaking hands, etc., the cases that entered into the house would not have spread the disease. Those people who came would not have spread the disease if people were not behaving carelessly. The question, however, is, in what did our people listen? Did they listen to our advice? Don't cough near other people. Don't touch yourself with unwashed hands. That's all that was required. But we are not sure that people listen, because if they did that, then the virus would not spread, even if the people went into the population. Now, since we are not sure, that's why it is better not take any risks by being complacent and assuming that everybody took heed when many may have not taken heed. That is why we have decided to take additional measures as follows below. Measure 1 is to prohibit all people-to-people movement by everybody, including those using their private vehicles, boda-bodas, tuk-tukus, etc. Why? 2 reasons. Number 1, some private car owners have turned their cars into taxis, transporting the 2 people we had permitted, assuming that they would be members of one's family, when in fact they were passengers being charged an exorbitant fee of shillings 50,000 from Kampala to Jinja. Hence, the problem we were trying to cure of allowing the mixing of people from different sources was not being addressed. The big effort is to make sure that people from different sources don't mix, because they don't know who is suffering from what, and that's why they shouldn't mix. Instead, that problem was taking new forms. The people with private cars were now the new public transporters without licenses and facilitating the dangerous mixing in the process. Secondly, Even more importantly, is that even if the private car owners had been disciplined and only moved around with only the 2 members of their families, still that movement would be dangerous because we do not know who has the virus now and who does not have. Given the penetration of the imported cases into the society, short-lived though it may have been. The ban on the use of privately owned passenger vehicles will take effect from 2200 hours, which is 10 o'clock, Shahina Zekiro, Sawa Nya Zekiro, Sanne za usiku, today, the 30th of March 2020. I would have given the public time to adjust on more scientific, but on a more scientific study, it was found that this would be a wrong policy. Why? A longer time would give people time to try and go to the villages. In so doing, they may transfer the very sickness we are trying to prevent. So please don't think that we are not considerate. We know all that, but we know the human nature, how people behave. They may think they are running you off from danger and going to the villages, to their homes, when in fact they are taking death to our people in the village. We would then not be curing anything. This freezing of movement will last 14 days from the 1st of April 2020. This time it is not Fool's Day, it is Wise Person's Day, the 1st of April. The second category, number 2, the second category of concentrations are the shopping malls, arcades, hardware shops, which gather a lot of people to sell and buy non-food items. These are suspended for 14 days, starting with the 1st of April 2020. Number 3, all the non-food shops, what some people call stores, because stores, I thought it was where you keep things. But now I'm being told that I don't know where they call shop, store, a duka. For me, I knew a duka is shop. Bustoha is bustoha. That's what we call it in Ankole. But here in the town, that a shop is a store. So please, I'm talking about shops. Shops, what we call shops here. But I don't know where they say that store. Number 3, all the non-food shops, in brackets stores, should also close. Only food shops or stores, as they call them, selling agricultural products or agricultural inputs, not only products but inputs, selling veterinary inputs, selling detergents and pharmaceuticals, medicine, should remain open. The Ministry of Health should work out SOPs for these shops. Many people should not be allowed to congregate there. Those are the shops of drugs and so on. Many people should not be allowed. You should not allow a large number of people to congregate there and form lines for buying. But also look at home deliveries. With the modern phones, you may not have to go to the markets. You can order things and they bring them to you. Even using the the ordinary phone like mine, because me, I don't have those Maridali phones which they talk like human beings. For me, I still have the other cavidity. But even my cavidity, I can order for food. Say, you bring me here, so that I don't have to move. Therefore, home deliveries should instead be encouraged by all these issues of market. Number 4, the supermarkets should remain open, but with clear SOPs, standard operational procedures, that should restrict numbers that enter and leave the site at a given time, and the handling of trolleys within the supermarkets. A lot of people can be infected by handling the unsterilized trolleys within the supermarket. Number 5, the established food markets in Kampala and other towns should continue to be open. The established food markets, these are food markets, in Kampala and other towns should continue to be open. However, 2 precautions must be observed. 1, the distance of 4 meters to the front, to the left, to the right, and to the rear, between seller and buyer, and also between seller and seller, must be observed in all the markets. Secondly, the sellers must not go home during the 14 days. There is a big problem of people going to sleep in the mzigos, wherever they are staying, and then coming to work. Because you don't know where he slept, his residence, what's happening there. The visitors has received, the neighbors, the bar this person went in, you don't know. And you have got all these people coming from different directions to one point and then going back. That's all right when there is no danger. But since there is an enemy in the house now, that's why we are saying, no, please, instead of moving like that, coming in, going back, coming in, going back. If there is space, the factory owners can organize temporary camping, make tents, people sleep there, work, and go back to their temporary camp until 14 days, when we would have had time to hear what's happening to the people who interacted with the returnees from Dubai. They must arrange to stay near for that duration, for the duration of the 14 days. That movement between workplace to home and back is part of the problem. How are the people you left at home And how do you move to work if there is no public transport? It is that mixing that we want to freeze between home and route and workplace. Be only in one place for 14 days and we shall see what is happening. Now, if the factories cannot do this, then they should suspend production for 14 days. If they can't manage to implement this, then the logic is for them to suspend production for 2 weeks. Saloons, lodges, and garages should also be shut for 14 days from the 1st of April 2020. Like the farms, we would like the factories to keep producing because that is the lifeblood of the country. However, the danger is in the workers going home and coming back. It is that daily movement that must be frozen. Let the factory owners arrange for crucial employees to camp around the factory area for the 14 days. If they cannot do that, let them suspend production for 14 days. Number 8, construction sites should continue if they can be able to encamp their workers for 14 days. Otherwise, they should suspend construction for the 14 days. Number 9, the essential services are, because we keep talking about the social services, they are the medical, the veterinary, the telephones, the door-to-door delivery system, the banks, private security companies, cleaning services, garbage collection, fire brigade, petrol stations, water departments, and some KCCA staff should continue to operate. URA should also not close business on account of not paying taxes in these 14 days. Among the groups to continue operating is also UNRWA, the roads group. We need them. And the funeral services. The funeral services. The Prime Minister, the head of, and the Minister of Health can clarify these groups. They can clarify. The main point is that the main part of the government should suspend operations except some groups. I have read some, but if it is some I forgot, then the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health will clarify them. These employers should, however, see whether they can encamp some staff near the workplace for the 14 days, which is the preferred way, or else get a special exemption from the RDC with the concurrence of the district medical officer. Get permission to keep commuting between home and office. Number 10, cargo transport by train, by plane, by lorry, by pickup, by tuk-tukus, by boda-boda and bicycle within Uganda and between Uganda and the outside must continue, but only with minimum numbers, technically needed as follows. Cargo aircraft, only the crew. a lorry, not more than 3 persons, i.e. driver, turnboy, plus one other. This will be as will be directed by the Ministry of Transport, working with the National Task Force on the coronavirus. They can continue to clarify this. Number 11, gatherings of more than 5 persons are hereby prohibited. We have been talking of 10 people, but some people are using the 10 people as something to joke with, so we need really to be strict, and that's why we are saying now 5, not more than 5. Number 12, except for cargo planes or cargo lorries or cargo pickups and trains, starting with the 31st of March 2020 at 1900 hours, which means saa moja ya usiku, there will be a curfew throughout the whole of Uganda. All other movements should stop except these cargo vehicles. Let people stay indoors in their homes except for the cargo transporters. The exemption of cargo transporters does not apply to the borders or tukutukus or bicycles in the curfew hours. We don't want pikipikis moving around during darkness. Those should only operate during the daylight hours. Number 13, in order to deal with some unavoidable health issues like mothers in childbirth or very sick people, permission can be sought from the RDC to use private transport to take such a person to hospital. Additionally, government vehicles that do not belong to UPDF, police, prisons, or wildlife authority will be pooled and deployed at the district health offices, including the divisions of Kampala, with their drivers staying in tented compounds, ready to help in those health emergencies. Those vehicles of the government would be under the command of the district medical officer. On account of this pandemic, some sectors of the economy are suffering, such as tourism industry, the entertainment industry, the transport industry, etc. However, as I said earlier, new opportunities are emerging in this misfortune. You have seen how the demand for sanitizers, for face masks, for bicycles, etc. has stimulated new industrial opportunities. Working with the IMF and the World Bank, we shall set up a fund in UDB to accelerate industrialization through import substitution and export promotion. We have seen how dangerous it is for Africa to excessively depend on imports from outside. This is the time to wake up. Number 15, we are going to discuss with the banks, with the electricity companies, and with the water companies in connection with the loans and bills many people have with these banks. It is not correct to disconnect water or electricity on account of non-payment during this time of shutdown, or to seize properties on account of the non-payment of loans. We shall discuss with those people at the banks and see how to guide you. 16, government workers should also stay at home for the 14 days, except for the army, the police, the health workers, the electricity, water and telephone workers, and some other that the Prime Minister will add on if he thinks they are necessary to add on. Even there, however, SOPs should be worked out for the soldiers, etc., that do not stay in the barracks. This problem of not staying near the workplace is something I've never supported. At one time I wanted to shift and stay in Rubiri when it was still a barracks. The army leader at that time pacified me by turning both Nakasero and Entebbe into barracks, including taking over Samizi Hill. People who do not stay in the barracks should either stay away for the duration of the shutdown or camp in the barracks so that they avoid this day-to-day movement. The families of the soldiers and the policemen should also be controlled moving in and out of the barracks. The senior people could look at suspending that type of mobile movement, and also the visitors should be suspended to the barracks. Otherwise, you can have a major outbreak in the barracks. The vehicles of the army, the police, ambulances, utilities vehicles, prisons, wildlife authority, etc., will continue to move on orders of the competent authorities of those departments. It should not be just a driver driving somehow. It must be on permission by the senior people. The government and coronavirus actions of stopping public transport and other measures have put the drivers and other people out of work. Besides, many of them live hand to mouth. They just earn a daily bread. Without those activities, especially in the towns, such people may not be able to buy food. The government, after properly identifying these people, will distribute food to them in the form of akawunga, of maize flour, beans, powdered milk, sugar, salt, etc. In the meantime, I direct the police to arrest the opportunistic and irresponsible politicians who try to distribute food for cheap popularity. Those are very dangerous to the health of the people. When you try to distribute food or money in such a situation, people gather around you. Many people can be infected in that process. You would therefore have caused the sickness or death of those people. Anybody involved in that effort will be arrested and charged with attempted murder. Well, that is the offense. Attempted murder. You wanted to kill people by infecting them with the virus. Today, Mr. Elumeru of Nigeria sent me US$ 150,000. I would use it to buy maybe 3 4-wheel drive vehicles to use by the Ministry of Health in this effort. Those trying to take patients to hospitals, there are also people who try to privately trying to take patients to hospitals must also stop, because they spread the virus in the process, because they don't know whom they are taking. They are not professional. They are just looking for cheap popularity. They cannot tell who should go where. If they have money, let them contribute it to the task force to use in a disciplined and safe way. If you say you have money you want to contribute, bring it to the task force. It is headed by Dr. Gunda. It includes Jenna Cheng and others. Bring that money so that it can be used in a planned way, instead of you going to gather people who can then get infected in the process. In Mbale, the Chinese donated to me 2 4-wheel drive jeeps the other day, brand new. I donated them to the anti-corona fight task force. So you'll have vehicles from Meru, 3 maybe. Then you have my 2. Then you can have others we shall add on. On the issue of these people who try to play cheap politics with distributing food and I don't know what. The other day I was in Karamoja. I was going to open the marble factory. First of all, we had to stop the villagers who wanted to come and be part of the rally. We said, please don't come. Just the leaders only came. And even when I was driving through Moroto, the people wanted me to stop and start talking to them. But I would be, because when I stop, they will gather. And when they gather, you don't know who is who. So you are really an enemy. When you hear a so-called leader, people are dying, we are looking for, you are doing politics, cheap popularity. You will be charged with attempted murder because you are trying to kill people. That is the offense. Attempted murder, that's how you are gathering people whom you don't know. However, the crucial point is the stopping of the epidemic. I do not want us to lose millions of our vulnerable people to this wholly avoidable epidemic just on account of indiscipline. What is the indiscipline? As I said at the beginning, coughing or sneezing where there are other people, number 1. Number 2, not washing or sanitizing your hands regularly. And number 3, touching yourself in the soft parts of the body with the unwashed hands, the soft parts being the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And number 3, congregating in numbers when science is telling us to avoid this wholly avoidable danger, and disperse and do not congregate. There is a sheikh who sent me a portion from the Bible. I was surprised how the sheikh came to know the Bible. But it is from Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. It says in quotes, "Go home, my people, and lock your doors. Hide yourselves for a little while until the Lord's anger has passed." I thank you and I wish you good luck.